March is Early Music Month, so I thought it was a perfect time to talk about why I play early music. I discovered early music and performance practice while I was in college studying as a cello performance major. I was playing in a big symphony orchestra, doing later classical and romantic chamber music, but I really felt like something was missing from my musical life. I joined my school's Baroque ensemble and got my first taste of playing Baroque music really in the style that it was written in. As I learned about performance practice techniques and I started to read treatises from the time period, my eyes were open to a whole new world of interpreting this music. So often, classical musicians look at earlier music and try to compare it to some of the larger, more elaborate works that came afterwards. But when we're looking backwards at things, trying to apply what we know now or what we know from what came later, it actually gets us further away from really understanding the repertoire. So I found that diving into the time period, into the sources of the time, the culture of the city where the piece was written, really started to show me what this music was really all about. By learning about rhetoric and dance and gesture, suddenly Baroque music totally came to life in a new way for me. I think there's a misconception that focusing on early music and playing in a historically informed fashion is about doing it right, and I don't think it has to do with right and wrong. By learning about the composer and studying the instruments that he was really working with when he was composing, it gets us so much closer to really making the music come to life in the way the composer imagined. And isn't that what we really strive for in classical music? We want to put our own artistic interpretation in everything that we do, but we also want to have in mind what the composer was really thinking about so that we can do our best to execute that. Beyond just understanding the music in its context, I love the soundscape created by early instruments. The timbre of a harpsichord and a viola da gamba or a lute is so different than the stuff we hear in later works and that we're familiar with in symphonies. And it's unfortunate to me that so many people who get exposed to classical music in one way or another never even get to hear these kinds of sounds. My goal in playing on period instruments and studying historical performance is to bring this rich, evocative world of sounds and expression to more people so it becomes more of a staple of the regular classical music culture. We can play this early repertoire on modern instruments, and I'm glad that the music stays alive so much that people want to make modern interpretations. But I think the music truly comes to life when we look at it through the composer's eyes and we surround ourselves with what was going on in the time period. So for me, it's always been the truest way to play this music and the way that I feel most connected to it. If you like classical music but you don't know a lot about earlier repertoire, I really encourage you to dig around some recordings and try to find some things on period instruments. I think you'll really appreciate the different sound and you'll be able to hear the interpretational techniques that are used by historical performers. Again, to me, it's never a contest of what's right and what's wrong, but just about what makes the music speak the most true. Which is of course subjective, but I really think if you give early music and period performance a valid chance, you'll really be able to see why it's so moving to many performers. Early music and Baroque performance practice really invigorated my interest in classical music and has since become my total passion. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to learn more about Early Music America and Early Music Month, head over to their website. If you like this video, be sure to check out the other videos on my channel on Baroque music and performance practice. If you'd like to help support me in the production of these videos, you can become my patron on Patreon. Thanks for watching.